retirement starts to sneak up on people around 40 years old. What would I do if I was at 40 plus years and I have zero saved for retirement? Well, I'm going to go through somebody with a $40,000 a year income and somebody with a $75,000 a year income. In retirement, you're going to look for about 80% of your pre-retirement income. Basically, you don't need to travel to work and back as much. You don't have to get new clothes as often. There's things like that. You're not eating out for lunch as often. If I had $40,000 a year income at 80%, I would have to come up with $32,000 a year to live, decently comfortably. So at $75,000, that comes out to $60,000 a year income. Social Security generally will make up about 40 to 45% of the total income you'll have in retirement if you're in this income bracket, somewhere between 40 and 75,000. So for 40,000, you're looking at getting about 16,000 a year, and 75,000, you're looking to try to get about $30,000 a year. In order to get that amount, you really need to have all 35 years of working. You need to get those 4 credits per year, so you have at least 40 credits. And in that calculation, you're only looking at the highest 35 years used. So if you had a couple of years that were very low income and now you're earning a lot more money by working an extra year, you can actually increase your Social Security further. And I have another video on how to calculate Social Security, so I'll put that in the link in the description below. If you claim Social Security at 62 years old, you're going to see a 30% permanent reduction in your benefits. That means for the rest of your life. If you wait for each additional year, you get 8% more past full retirement age. So you'll be capped at 70 years old. For most people at this point, it's going to be 124% of what you would be getting otherwise. Just so you know, there is a crossover of these two. And if you have if you have a history of people that live very late, at least beyond 82 years old, it's probably wise to wait till you're 70 years old to claim. If you have people that tend to die very early in your family, or if you have heart disease, cancer, things like that, maybe you want to claim that at 62 years old because you might not have the expectancy of living beyond 82 years old. So the break-even point is somewhere between 79 and 82 years old. So if you're going to live beyond 82, it makes more sense to wait till you're 70. If you have a family history and health problems, it's probably take it earlier in retirement. But remember, for each month you delay, you actually get more money. So if you're able to delay it by even 6 months or a year or something like that, it's still beneficial to you because that reduction is about 6% per year, or about 0.5% per month. For all of your investments, you want to be able to withdraw no more than 4%. The reason being is that you want some money to continue to grow. There's going to be ups and downs throughout time. Generally, there's a recession every, maybe 5 to 10 years. So during that recession, you're going to be withdrawing when your funds are actually going down. So if you want to withdraw 4%, you need about $400,000 to get that other $16,000 if you had that $40,000 income previously. And if you had a $75,000 income, you want something around $750,000 to get at $30,000 a year of withdrawal. Now, how do you come up with that amount of money at your current income? So that's 40% of your current income or more. So I'm assuming a 7% rate of return for these post-inflation. Where I get that from is generally a mix of stocks and you'll get some bonds and some cash assets. But effectively, a lot of it would be the S&P 500. It averages over 10.7% rate of return annually over the last 30 years. There have been up years, down years, but that's the average. And as I get closer to retirement, I'll put more in cash. Anything I need within 5 years is going to be cash or CDs or things like that, which I have other videos on that. How many years do I have before I want to retire? If I'm currently 40 years old and I'm retiring when I'm 70, I want to have 30 years so I can put a 10% contribution rate to a 7% return. If I'm 27 years away from my retirement age, basically 40 to 67, that's 27 years, 65, 60, or 55. Or you could even say if I'm 50 and I have 15 years before retirement, what's the contribution rate? So generally, you want to put away about 10 to 15% into retirement, and that would be looking at a 25 to 30 year window of when you would expect to retire. But if you're trying to be a bit more aggressive, if you're at 24%, you could retire effectively in about 20 years. 39%, this is very unlikely that most people would be able to do this, but that would get you there in 15 years. Retirement is not an age, it's merely how much cash you have in the bank and if your assets can support you. So if I want to retire in these time frames, what does that look like? Well, if I make $40,000 a year, how much do I need to save monthly to hit these retirement targets? Well, if you're 30 years away, it's $350 a month. Remember, when I'm going through these numbers, this includes the contributions from, 401ks, 403bs, anything that's a contribution match. So if you're putting maybe $175 a month away and your employer is also putting $175 a month away, well, that comes up to that $350. So each person's going to have a different contribution match. You can also use an IRA, that would be an individual retirement agreement. I have other videos on all of these different accounts and tax advantages and things like that. If you want to retire in 27 years, you would need $450. At 25 years, you're looking at $525. 20 years, you're looking at $800. And in 15 years, you would need to be putting away $1,300. If they made $75,000 a year pre-retirement, if you want to retire in 30 years, you would be looking at $650. 27 years would get $825. 25 years, $975. In 20 years, you would be at $1,500. At 15 years, it's $2,425. So these are very difficult, I would say, but looking at the 10 to 16%, I think those are generally more doable, at least for most people. One of the ways that I've been able to increase my contributions is every time I get a pay increase, from inflation or whatever it might be, I would use some of that increase and put that towards the contribution, and then keep increasing that each year so that you don't get used to the additional money that you're making. So I share a lot of financial education topics, basically how to save, how to invest, how to make more money. So if any of these interest you, please subscribe and have a great day.